The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hey there, everybody. Again, it is Lyn-Dee, your Chief Happiness Officer of the Happiness Jungle TV show, right here out of Nashua, New Hampshire. I have on the show with us today a gentleman that is just going to inspire you to get fit. He's a fitness motivator, and he's all about empowering the world. He's out of Boca Raton, Florida, and I'd love to bring him on right now to introduce to you Mr. Edouard Gillis from Boca Raton, Florida. Hey there, Edward. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I remember when we met, I was inspired by you. And it's funny, like-minded people just so happen to attract, even if we're thousands of miles away, we still somehow or another were able to connect with one another. And I know for a fact it had to do with motivation. It had to do with one of our mentors, Mr. Les Brown. Am I right?
You're right.
And that was the very, very beginning. Then we met in person when I was down in Florida, and I had the opportunity to be on your show, and it was at the very beginning that a hurricane was coming our way. I remember that day. I didn't
know if I was going to make it out alive or not, because it sounded pretty scary at that time.
It was kind of scary. A matter of fact, your studio wasn't set up. Everybody was getting ready for the hurricane. But somehow or another, because we manifested it, it happened.
It happened.
It happened. So I want to just go ahead and I want you to share your story with our listeners. Tell us about who you are, how you became so motivated, how you became a fitness mentor. Share your story, because there's somebody that's watching you right now that is going to listen to you and say, he's talking to me. Share your story.
Well, to begin to share my story, I see my story as part of, history in a way. Because the other day I was thinking about myself and my life, and I was talking to someone, and what most people ask you when they first see you is a simple question like, what do you do? What is your profession? What business have you started? Where are you from? What school did you go to? What your degree is? And those are usually the criteria that kind of define us. And as I looked around and looked at everyone and their jobs and being a doctor or working at a retail store, I started to recognize that, wow, that doesn't really define who you are. That in the realm of things, the person that you really are is really, really deeper inside, and it's within, and it's based on faith on that you can do something more than yourself, and that your mission here is bigger than self. So that's how I define myself and what I stand for, and my character and my story is that it doesn't matter what I do or what title I hold. It's just that I am who the Lord has created, and therefore I must excel my greatness towards the universe. So my story begins very humbly. I was born in Haiti, actually, in a place really far away, very not much wealth in that location. But what's wealth that I saw that my parents and that everyone around me has was will and desire to overcome all circumstances. And the generation we live in today, I would say a lot of us, we don't know how to handle hard times. So the one thing that has been the reoccurring story of my life is, overcoming things along my process of doing something greater than myself. And what is this great thing that I've envisioned for myself? So I live by my mission in life. I don't live by my career. I don't live that I'm a fitness coach. I don't live that I'm trying to build an app or a technologist or a business owner. I just live by just one mission in life. And I said I live to inspire, motivate, and uplift people to live a whole mind, body, and nutrition. Because I think those are the three components that could give you a well-fulfilling life. And how do I do that? First, I must become that. So my journey starts with the process of me becoming a person who's able to have control of his mind, who's able to have control of his body, and who can take accountable what's going into his body.
Wow. How old were you when you started realizing that your mission was so powerful?
Okay, so I came up with my mission only about 2 years ago. But I was living in that mission long before I even came up with it. This is why I came up with it. Since I was a kid, I was always an athlete. I was always reading books, writing articles. I realized that everything I've been doing now, I have been doing at a younger age, that I was into entrepreneurship. I was selling patties door to door. I was selling patties when I was in high school, trying to build a video production business. So it derived from who I was. And then when I became more in tune with myself, I was able to put that mission on paper. And ever since then, I've always been saying it. And as I say it keeps on manifesting little by little. And it's just really, it astounds me how it happens.
Wow. So how old were you when you moved to the States from Haiti?
So I moved here when I was about 9 years old. And it was a blessing that I was even able to move here, because when I was a child, there was one occurrence where my mother, she woke up, she went to her front porch, and it was blood all over the place. I was half dead, I was kind of supposed to die when I was 2 or 3 years old. And after that, I had other illnesses where I was in the hospital for long periods of time. So as a kid, the growth to develop was a tough one. But I guess that was the beginning of the molding of my character. So I came here when I was about 9 years old, and assimilated into the United States. And I always thought that if I got the opportunity to be here, I just have to make the best of it, and I can't waste it at all.
I love that. Now, and we met in Boca Raton, but now you live in Miami, yeah?
Yeah, I live in Miami. That's actually originally where I came here. I came here to Miami, and I moved up to Boca Raton about 4 years ago for college.
And you were going to FAU?
Yeah, so I go to Florida Atlantic University. I've been there for about 4 years, and an important part of my story is to FAU and my willingness to keep going. I don't know if there's any college students going out there. Sometimes, it may be hard for you to finish school. Maybe your mind is not at the right place at the time, but you kind of have to make a determined effort to do what you set out to do, no matter what.
Okay, so there are a lot of kids your age. You are wiser than your age. So congratulations. And I think that's because of your life experiences and because of the things that you had to do. And when we started off the conversation, you made a very powerful statement that people don't realize maybe how lucky they have it and how to excel. What exactly, I want to touch on that because you're absolutely right. Sometimes we put our own blockers in front of us. We are our worst creatures for our self-growth. And you touched on it because here in the United States, I feel that things are given to us a little bit too much. We're not able to really stretch and understand and then appreciate what we really have to have for the nutrition within us. I want you to touch on that because there are people in our audience that are sitting on their couches now. Some of them were brought up in an entitlement world where they were giving a lot of stuff. And in fact, you grew up until the age of 9 really struggling, really understanding and appreciation that each breath is a gift from God. I want you to touch on that for those that think that they're waiting for somebody to help them or to do something. What do you recommend them to do on their own on their very own to get off that couch and say, you know what, I'm going to figure out what I want to do and I'm going to go after it?
I think this message or this question is something that everyone should think about. And whether you take my answer or Lyn-Dee's answer, the best answer you can take is your answer. Yeah. So what do? I think the first thing that you have to do is find one thing that you would go after no matter what. Something that will make you really happy. Maybe something as a kid. What were you thinking? What was that one thing that you can be that will make you so ecstatic about life? And then if you find that one thing, then you have what you call a foundation. You have what you call a rod in the middle of the house. You have what you called, building your home on a rock. So now you're able to go out on an adventure, setting out to find that thing. And then this is when your character starts to change. This is when you start to realize how much things given to you don't really matter, how much things around you really don't really matter, how much that you have greatness just by being you. So the process is about losing everything to gain everything, and that's sometimes it means losing people, sometimes it means losing habits, sometimes it means losing relationships. But I think life is a series of losses in order to gain. So a lot of us were like, I want to now change. I want to now have this new perception. I want to be able to do it on my own. But yet I still want to have everything given to me. It's just, it doesn't work that way. And a lot of us never experience it. One thing you can do is if you could, if you had it in you to go jobless for a month or 14 days and then figure out how you're going to live, then you start to realize how smart you are and how creative you can think and come up with things.
So let's stop right there, because you just touched on a very powerful thing. You need to do without so you could recognize what you want to have to do. What you just said is powerful. You may have to go without a job or without something for a period of time to understand what it's like not to have those things, so you could understand how to pursue your dreams. And from that point on, you will never be under anybody's thumb again, because you are building, like you said, your foundation for your tomorrow. So no matter what hurricane comes your way, no matter what diversities come your way, you're able to pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and keep on moving.
Exactly. And that's the time at which the most important thing come to you too is yourself. That's when you really learn about who you are and your habits, and that you're standing in your own way. This is not, it's not something that I say to you out of a book. It's something that I've experienced. And now I'm at a point in my life, and I'm only 23 years old. Every situation that I go through, I can analyze self. I can step outside myself and see, look what you're doing. And then I can make connections between my actions and my subconscious ways from the past. I can see, okay, this is what happened in the past. Now you're doing this because this happened. So I think that process is not about just losing everything. It's about gaining more insight into yourself. You spend more time with yourself when you don't have any more things to spend time with. You spend more time with yourself when you're not on Facebook every day or not on Instagram every day. You spend more time with yourself when you're not going out to eat all of those foods that you know are unhealthily for you. So then now you become more in tune with yourself. So when you induce less into yourself, you gain more insight into who you actually are as a human being. And that's one thing I learned from myself. I learned that I was the one standing in my way for a long time. I realized that I'm my biggest blockage, and we could get more into that in deeper details.
What you've done, Edward, is you took ownership for everything. Personal development, instead of watching Facebook or any of those shows on television or driving in the car listening to that bebop, what is it that you listen to? Because I know that I shared with you an audio the last time that we were together.
Yep. That was the best gift I ever got.
And it was an audio with Les Brown. And I knew as soon as I handed it to you, I could feel that I gave you, it was like candy to a baby. You grabbed that and you were like, you could not wait to start listening to it. I could feel that energy. So is that one of your tips, is that we need to fill ourselves with more good personal development and dig deeper into ourselves?
You got that right on the point, right on the dot. When you gave me that tape, I listened to it so much because I actually had a physical tape of Les Brown instead of listening to him on YouTube all the time. So
Yeah.
I guess maybe it isn't about taking away all the things that you're doing. It's about adding in the right things. So a couple of things I did to really change my mindset is change what goes into the mind every single day. Definitely, I stopped watching television. I stopped watching too much because those are the things that program our subconscious mind. Those are where we actually gain a lot of these values that we have, is by watching Friends, is by watching Seinfeld, is by watching all these shows, and then we begin to think that those are our thoughts. So when we begin to listen to people who are motivating us and helping us personally develop, we then grow into a different consciousness and being able to open up our minds and our conscious. And one thing that I did too was read a lot of books. I read a lot of books because really why I read a lot of books, and to be honest, goes back to take away some things and you get more better things. One reason why I didn't watch TV is because I didn't have access to a TV. One reason I read a lot of books is because I had no place to be but Barnes and Nobles every day.
Wow.
Well,
let me stop there. Let me stop there, because you said I had nowhere else to be but Barnes and Noble. No, you chose to be in Barnes and Noble. You could have planted yourself on a street corner. You could have planted yourself in a better place. You put yourself in Barnes and Noble.
Okay, so let me clear that up. I chose, because here's what happened. Life moved on me. My subconscious moved on life. But I had to build my subconscious mind first to be able to do that, to have that response. Because my conscious was like saying that if I don't have a space to roam and entertain, then I have to grow. Because those were the two things that I valued in my head already. So I didn't have to think twice about them. Those were my automatic response to that situation. So it had to start with, how do you automatically respond to certain situations? Is it like food? Is it like, oh my God, my boyfriend broke up with me, I have no love, so I'm gonna eat a whole bunch of food to get me the blood flow. Right. So it's like, what is your automatic response? So I think that's kind of like the line between what you do when life turns on you and what you do not do.
What is your automatic response?
Yes.
Wow, that was powerful. What is that knee-jerk reaction towards any situation that you have in your life? So for those that are watching our show, you may be hurting, you may be angry, you could be happy, you could be any kind of emotion you want. What is your actual response, your automatic response to any situation that's going on in your life? Because it does build the character within you. It helps you become who you want to be. So if we could just step back into our childhood and take away what we were dreaming about being, instead of what society said that we should be, and gravitating towards that, just like you did, to become the motivator that you are today. Very, very powerful. I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you.
And I want to piggyback on what you said about the childhood. When you was a child, you were at a state of innocence. You were a clean state, like a bucket ready to be filled with water, like a portrait waiting to be painted. Like the paint was just life and your experiences. You were open to create and to become. And whether you are religious or not, the Lord had bestowed upon you a clean state and opportunity to become your best self, and you were open to these things. So you were worried about looking silly. You wasn't worried about how your friends was thinking, and you was asking all the questions that you can be. You were humble. You know, you are willing to cooperate with each other. We were learning new things. That's the state that I think that we can grow from, is a child state, a state of ready to grow, you know, ready to change, ready to be molded, and ready to be enlightened by everything around you. And I think that that comes in with self-awareness, and also comes in with awareness of what's around you. Um, and those things really, I think those things are really what makes us better. It's like, how aware are you every day of the things around you? So this is one thing I was thinking about yesterday, or weeks ago, or months. This whole month I've been thinking about it. It's like, how aware am I of everything? Am I just in the moment, or am I just thinking about something else that's about to happen? And I'm like, every day, it's not like I got all this figured out. I'm 23 years old. I'm always figuring this thing out. But every day I'm consciously thinking about this, and I'm making the effort. You don't change your life simply by saying, well, I'm going to say these affirmations. It has to be an everyday task. It has to be an everyday programming. If you got to wake up, I have a journal. I wake up every day. I write myself a vision for the day. And then I have a vision for the day. I have a schedule. I have quotes, affirmations, and I have my studying that I do for the day. So every day I have acquired some sort of knowledge and have written it down, and that will soon manifest into actuality. But you have to take the conscious action on every day. You know, that's where it matters. You know, the minutes turn to hours, hours turn to days, days turn to weeks, weeks turn to months, months turn to years, and you give yourself 5 or 10 years, and you can really transform your life.
You can, and you wake up every morning with that state of mind. And I know you do, because every time we've communicated, it doesn't matter what time I've spoken to you in the day, you have that great spirit about you. And I know, and you know, that throughout your days, things don't always happen the way that you would like them to. But because of how you've taught yourself how to respond and react to situations, you're able to say, okay, that's what's happened right now. It gave me a curveball. And then you process it and you move forward in a positive way, though. You have yet to show that you move backwards in any way. At 23 years old, I got to tell you, you're not only helping our youth today, you're helping people that are my age, in their 50s, in their 60s, realizing that just because of what life has given us doesn't mean that we have to stay there. And from this moment forward, that we get to make the choice to dial that new direction in. You're amazing.
That is 100%. It's about the choice. It's like when pain happens, you have the two things. You say, what do I need to grow? What do I need to learn? And how is it going to help me become who I've always been destined to become? And that's how I see the situations. I let my downs motivate me. You got to let them push you and let them inspire you. Let them give you that little extra boost to that's life moving on you. Like Les Brown says, life is, if you don't move on life, life is going to move on you.
That's right.
It's going to make you go.
That's right. I want everybody to know how to get a hold of you. How do they get a hold of you? How do they watch you?
Well, I'm all over social media, and my social media is usually CEO Ambitionist. And a lot of people may think that's Chief Executive Officer. It just means Chief Executive Officer of my life, you know?
Oh my goodness.
I always say that it's not about running a business, because I am a business. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. So that's my social media, CEO Ambitionist. That's CEOAMBITIONIST. My first name is spelled out for you in the description, so you can search that on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, especially, where I have my Unlimited Power show, in which I interview great people just like Lyn-Dee, Eldridge, and other powerful people in this space that you can watch. I send out daily motivational videos. I have a podcast on iTunes. I have a blog on LinkedIn. As soon as you know my name and the CEO ambitionist, you'll be able to find me. And you
Oh,
could
I
also
am telling
contact
you.
me. You could also contact me with my phone number, which is 561-927-6725.
Say that number again.
561-927-6725.
Fantastic. All I know is that you're completely correct by saying that every time I pull you up, I don't care what social media platform it is, I'm inspired to sit back and enjoy you for whatever time I have. You fill me, and I want you to know that. Since the day we met, you have inspired me. And now you've inspired the world of all different ages to make them realize that it's up to us to become our own CEO. And I love how you say, I'm a businessman. I'm not a businessman.
No. Listen, I'm a business, comma, man. That's Jay-Z's quote. That's Jay-Z's quote. I just stole it.
You get to use it 3 times and then it's yours.
Yep, that's right.
That's what they say. Give me credit for it 3 times, and then you could go ahead and you could use it. What good things do you have going on? We're almost out of time. Do you have anything that's going on? Any new activities? Anything that somebody could? Do you have any online courses? Anything that other people could really attach themselves to you? Are you mentoring people? What are you doing?
Well, I actually do offer online fitness coaching, in which I entail the combination of the mind, body, and nutrition. So I'm talking about everyday kind of like a series of motivations, and also showing you how to eat correctly. And I'm also a meditation instructor, medical qigong, in which I show people how to cultivate the power within, which is their breath, or otherwise known as your chi. And if you're 70 years old or 10 years old, you can literally do these things, which is a series of rotational joint movements and breathing that will really change your life. And this stuff is thousands of years old. So along with that, I create workout plans, and nutrition plans, and other things like that. But the most important thing I can offer you is my energy that I radiate towards the universe, and maybe that may be my voice or my podcast or my show. So tune in, watch it, share it. That's the best I can do.
Oh my God, well, you got it, everybody. You could find them all over social media. I never said that life was easy, but I did say you can't be happier. Thank you so much for being on our show. Say goodbye to everybody. You're a blessing.
Goodbye, everybody. Remember, you have unlimited power in you to achieve what you want. But until you believe that, the world will forever miss your talents, your gifts, and all the great things you have to offer.
Amen, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful life. You own it.
All right.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.